Okay, so now that we got it broken down, right? 100,000, maybe mentally you can't get to that off the top of your head and figure out that you can actually believe you can do it, right? But if you break it down all the way into daily, and now it's only $200 a day, you're like, $200 a day, anybody can do that, right? So, that's how you got to break down your goals. And that can go for body weight as well. If you want to lose 50 pounds, you just break it all down, and it ends up being maybe a couple of pounds a week. And that's very, very achievable. Instead of thinking, oh man, I got to lose 50 pounds, take your time. It takes time to get there. It takes time to get it off as well. Because I was a personal trainer since I've been 21 years old. I'm 50, I'll be 59 next month, holy crap, So it's a step. Everybody wants everything fast. Everybody wants the Lamborghini tomorrow. Everybody wants the Arnold Schwarzenegger body tomorrow. It doesn't happen that way. And the faster that you get it, usually, the faster that you get it, it doesn't last that long. Because then you're burnt out, your body's not right, your mind's not right. It takes a while to get your brain to process and ingrain those things into your head to make it a permanent change. It's a lifestyle change. It's through your whole life. All right? So now we're going to get into the 5 part. All right, so now it's going to get a little tight now. So the first thing we're looking at is mental. Yeah, I don't write so well. So the mental aspect or the mental facet part of your life. So what we're going to need to do now is once a week, what I do on Sunday night, what I do is I take each one of these, the mental, the physical, financial, the relationship, and the spiritual part, and I'll write down some major things that I need to get done that week. Because you're going to go through the week and other things are going to come up. And, I still write little notes to myself every single day, like a couple of other things that have come up that I need to get done. And then what I can do is I'll go back and I'll check them off to see if I did it. So that, if you're not mentally ready to do something, then you're not going to be physically prepared to do it. So we have to get our mindset first. If you don't conquer what's between your ears, then you're never going to get it. If you keep telling yourself you're not worthy, or I'm afraid, or, I never could do anything. For me, I'll give you a quick story. When I was growing up, this is what I heard the most. When I was growing up is, can't you do anything right? Can't you do anything right? It was crazy. My dad would say, we'd be having a catch. Yeah, I'm going to get back into my story here a little bit. I was a young kid, probably 13, 14 years old, and I wasn't really a really good athlete until I got into my 20s because I didn't have that killer instinct. But with this kid, his name was John, and we'd have a catch of baseball, football, and he was a really good athlete. My dad goes, you should be more like that. You should be more like that. And at the time, I wasn't actually even physically able to. I was a skinny little kid, so that played a little bit on me mentally. And then my mom would do the same thing. She was like, oh, can't you be like your cousin? Can't you be like your cousin and do this? And to this day, I still got to battle that once in a while. I still fall back into that woe is me, victim mentality, and that's just a normal thing. But that's why you got to conquer that every single day. The evil one wants to keep you down. He wants to take your joy, because if you're joyful and you're happy, it takes away his power. And if you're pushing towards something and you want to accomplish something in your life and help other people, he definitely doesn't want that. So he's going to attack you harder. So you got to get over that fear, false expectations appearing real, right? Those things, those expectations may never appear, right? You're looking into the future and you're thinking of the worst. Why not looking into, instead of saying, well, what if it doesn't work? How about looking into the future and say, what if it does? What would you feel like if something you've been working on actually comes to pass and you can get whatever that achievement is? Just think about that and feel that now, and then that will take you later on down the road when it comes to pass, because it can, but you have to believe that. So figure this, mental, purpose of the day, like purpose. What's your purpose? Now, yeah, you can have a purpose for your life, and I'm actually going to give everybody a bonus at the end so you can figure that out. But what every person just for the day. Sometimes you just got to conquer the day, and not worry about tomorrow. Bible says that there's going to be, tomorrow has enough troubles and it'll take care of itself, but so let's live in the now. So what's your purpose for the one day? Well, okay, maybe you have a small thing. It doesn't have to be immaculate. It could be a thing. I got to take my car to get fixed. Or I got to bring my daughter for a college interview. One thing for that day that you need to get done, all right? And then you can just take it out. Well, if I'm going to do that for the day, what's your major week thing? Excuse me, can't spell. Week. What's your week's purpose? All right, well, if I'm taking my daughter in for a college interview, now maybe I got to help her fill out certain paperwork. Maybe I got to buy her certain books that she needs to, or he needs to study from so they can do the application and then they can get another interview to get to the college, whatever they do these days. All right, so start with a day, conquer the day, and then take it out for the week. Remember, we're doing this on the Sunday night. At least that's, for me, that's what I would do on the Sunday night. Right? So then you feed your mind with the good, right? Motivational, inspirational videos, they're everywhere. You just go on there, there's Tony Robbins and Dean Graziosi, and then there's Grant Cardone now that does them, Ed Milet and Bill Bayou. I mean, they're just everywhere. When I train, that's what I listen to. And it keeps me motivated, and we'll get into that physical part of it, down the road. Right? So make sure you're learning something new. Try to do that too. Learn something new. Learn something new. Every day, just one thing. Feeling of accomplishment that it'll give you. Right? Again, it's mental. It'll give you a feeling of accomplishment. I had to plant a tree. I remember when it was the summertime, there was a tree that needed to be replanted, moved to somewhere, and I kept putting it off. And when I actually did it, when I actually got and I moved that tree over, it gave me a feeling of accomplishment, and I felt like doing something else. So, little things add up to big things, right? So we just want little things here. And, like this, we're not thinking $100,000, we're thinking about $200 a day, right? That's what we're doing. So let's feed our mind with the good stuff, right? Read a good book. Start reading a good book. Even if you got to read one page a day, just read one book, one page, one sentence, one something. Maybe you want to just read. You might read 2 sentences and then you get this golden nugget out of it. And you're like, wow, So you highlight it and then maybe that's what you're going to live your day by and live your week by, that one thing. So it depends on how you want to do it. But you should be learning something new every day. I call it 1% better. Just 1% better every day. Could you imagine? You think that's, and it's not easy. I mean, in the beginning, it'll be easy, right? 1% a day, anybody could do that. But as you start going along, you're going to find out it does get a little more difficult. But that's okay. It causes uncomfortability, right? So if you're uncomfortable, that's when you're going to grow, right? Lack of growth, lack of anything is because you just become comfortable. And being comfortable means, as Grant Cardone always says, being comfortable means you're going to be average, right? Nobody wants to be average. Nobody listening to this is going to wake up in the morning and go, I think I'll be average today, But that's what most of us do because we don't have a plan. We don't think before we get out of bed. We start doing the same routines over and over, right? So let's just learn something new. 1%. 1% a day. That's all we need, right? The next thing is the physical. The physical part, right? So once you get your mental self straight in the morning, and that's as soon as you wake up, you should start either read something, listen to something, tell yourself something that's going to get you up and make you feel a little better about yourself and get your mind going, right? And then the physical. For me, I get up early in the morning and do it. I think that's the best time because when we wake up, well, what wakes us up? It's all adrenaline, right? All adrenaline gets us pumping, right? It's the serotonin in our brain that starts to wake us up. Melatonin is at nighttime. When people, right, sometimes when we can't sleep, people tell you to take melatonin. Well, why do they tell you to take that? Because that's what your pituitary gland actually produces, melatonin. It starts to make you tired. When it starts getting dark out, when it's dark, and now it gets, in the wintertime it's going to be dark at 4:30, but you start to feel a little sluggish. Why? Because now it's darker, and over the millions of years that men have been, men and women, humans have been around, our body starts produces this melatonin, and it starts to makes you dreary, it starts putting you to sleep. The serotonin, on the other hand, wakes you up. And when you wake up, your adrenaline is at the highest that it's going to be under normal circumstances. And then the serotonin starts to kick in all our gears. So that's when I like to do it in the morning when I was training. So, you train your body, right? You train your body. You train your body to be stronger. Right? And more cardiovascular. Right? So you don't get tired as much, right? You get your heart, you get your blood pumping. Very important. And then flexibility. This is huge. Flexibility. Nobody really does flexibility. You understand that flexibility is 25% of the whole training thing, right? Because without flexibility, your muscles start to shorten. And once they start to shorten, they start pulling on ligaments and tendons. They get weaker, right? And they even start to get a little softer. So you got to be flexible. You got to keep your ranges of motion because, hey, how many times maybe you sneeze and you throw your back out? Or if you go bend down to pick something up and you pull a hamstring, right? That's not because you overdid it. It means you underdid it usually, right? So that's what we want to do with the physical thing, right? Now, so what you're going to write down is what you're going to need to do. Okay, well, for me, I like to train 5 times a week. And I'll do it for about an hour and a half, or maybe even 2 hours, right? But even if you just started, what if you just want to start it for 10 minutes? Say, look, I just want to start a routine, but instead of blowing it out and spending a whole hour right off the bat, and then you start getting sore, and then you don't want to do it, or if you get an injury, how about just 10 minutes? Make a small enough goal. Look, I'm going to start training for 10 minutes a day, and figure it out. And believe me, there's plenty of things that you can look up online and send for and buy, and so many gurus on physical fitness that you can figure that out, right? And then you also want to eat well. Wholesome foods, right? Maybe some organic foods. I don't know how you spell it. All right? Just eat nice, wholesome foods. All right? You get some fruits, you get some vegetables. Most fruits actually are better off if they're organic, but some fruit is just better than nothing. Right? So get your fruits, get your vegetables in, get your protein. And you don't have to measure it out. It's like, you have to measure everything. Like, think of this, you have a plate. If you want a plate, half of it should be green. Whatever, half of it should be green, right? And then the third of it should be fruits, right? And then the other part should be proteins. So you got 2/3 protein and 1/3 fruits or carbohydrates, complex carbohydrates, right? Starches, and then your greens. That's the easiest way to do it. Okay. So, and then the last thing we want to do is H2O. I don't think anybody drinks enough water. All right, water is very important for recuperating. Water keeps our blood from getting thick. If we don't drink enough water, our body can get like oil, thickness, viscosity increases, and then our kidneys are going to overwork, our liver is going to overwork, and our heart's going to overwork, and that can lead to some serious problems. So that's physical. Yeah, that's huge. That's why I talked about it more than because this is what people need to do. This is a lot easier to take care of because all you have to do is listen, right? This you actually have to get up and do, all right? And then you have your financial. All right. So for financial, I don't know, it's common sense pretty much, right? If you have a job, maybe you need to work an extra hour. You'll get up in the morning and work an extra hour. You got to make yourself more valuable to the marketplace. And the marketplace is going to tell you, the marketplace does not have guilt, right? It don't give a crap who you are, man, woman, doesn't care. if you're big, small, fat, skinny, if you're black, green, yellow, orange. It's going to tell you exactly where you stand in the market. So if you need to make more money, then you got to make yourself more valuable to the marketplace. All right? Somehow, some way, you got to do that. If you have your own business, and if you're running it all by yourself, it'll never expand. You'll never be able to expand your business or scale that business, because you can't do everything for so long. In the beginning, you're going to have to do everything. But here's something I got from a friend of mine. His name was Ben. He told me this a long time ago. He said, when you have business, he goes, you need to do 4 things. You need to analyze it first, right? Be very structured and know where your numbers are. And then you got to simplify it. Cut things out that don't really produce what you want to produce. It's like the 80-20 rule, right? 80-20 rule. 80% of the time, things may not work out, but the 20% that do produces 80% of your income, or 80% of your health, or 80% of your relationship, right? So let's cut out all that other stuff that doesn't work and just do that 20%. But to do that 20%, you got to be able to analyze it. And then delegate. Delegate what's not working for you, that somebody else can do better. It used to be, they say, well, know your strengths and weaknesses, and you can make your strengths better, but that's your easy part. They make your weaknesses better. It's not so much like that. Nobody says that anymore. It's take your weaknesses and then delegate them to somebody who knows how to do it better. That's how you scale your business. For me, when I was working, and I'm trying to learn everything, especially now with all this social media stuff. And man, just hired another social media person to do some of the work for me, because I was doing it, it ain't working, forget it, I ain't doing it anymore. I'll give it to somebody else who can. And then you take the things that don't work at all, that even if you delegate them, they're still not working, eliminate it. So you got to analyze, simplify, delegate, eliminate. All right? And these paperwork is going to be in the program. So in the mastermind workshop or masterclass, you'll be able to download all these forms that I'm talking about. You just have to open up your Google Drive and then download them right into there. Then relationships. The one thing I want to say about relationships is, as a man, we have no freaking clue how to deal with relationships. That's not what we do. All right, so it's going to be a little bit harder if you're a man to get your relationships down. But the biggest relationship, well, why is that? Okay, I'll tell you why it is that. When we're growing up, right, what are we doing? We're playing, you're playing Army Man, you're playing superheroes, you got all these things and fighting and monsters and all kinds of stuff. What are the girls doing? They have dolls, they have Barbie and Ken, they have tea time, right? They're learning from relationships from day one. We have no relationship skills. We have no idea. And that can even go back to eons, right? Men are usually just hunters and gatherers and killers, right? You go out there, you got to hunt. If you don't hunt and kill something and bring it home, you can't provide for your family. And the same thing now, except you're not killing anything. You're killing your business. That's what you want. You want to go out there and kill it, right? You want to explode it. And then you can take, that's how you take care of your family, right? You become a provider, great provider that way. But the relationship, the biggest relationship, for me, is one with God, right? Or spiritual, or your source, or the quantum field, or whatever it is, all right? But after that, the biggest relationship that you're going to have is with yourself, right? Again, we're talking about what's between your ears. When you get up in the morning and those voices start telling you that you can't do it, that you're not big enough, fast enough, smart enough, you don't have the resources, right? You don't have the intelligence, all that stuff. You have to get over that. You have to fight that every day. You fight and you win that battle every day. And this is also, all this stuff is going to help you get through that, especially the daily. When I get to the 5 questions that you got to do every day, definitely going to help you with that. Right? And then, you got like, okay, what am I going to do for the relationship stuff? Right? Yeah, you can even read a book about relationships or listen to on YouTube. But what if you're married or you got a special someone that you're with? How about, well, you know what? Date night. Huge. Date night. Every week, I'm going out and take my wife out for date night because that's the one time during the week where nobody's going to be around. It's just me and her, and I can really spend one-on-one concentrating just on her. Right? I don't have to worry about work. I don't have to worry about the bills. I don't have to worry about the kids or what we're doing, the next day, or what parties or what weddings or anything like that. None of that crap matters. All that matters is me and her when we do that. Big thing, big time thing. All right? So work on those relationships. Relationships are big. Like I told you in the beginning, I know I get out of balance when I started working on this too much, right? And this started going up, this started going down. And for me, maybe not everybody who's listening, but for me, if that goes down, then I don't have any of this. All right? Again, balance. That's why I put this together. Then you have spiritual. I don't even know if I spelled that right. Yeah, cool. Spiritual. So again, for me, spiritual means God, and I take time to meditate every day. Well, that's kind of not true. I make a point of it. I might miss a day here, miss a day there, but if I don't meditate for at least 20 minutes and connect myself with God or the source that we talked about, or your creator, or whatever it is, or how about if you don't even believe in any of that, you just believe in yourself. How about just connecting with yourself, right? And figuring out what you need to do for that day, that week, and how you have to be, what your mindset has to be. That's huge. That's a big thing now, right? Mindset. It's always been, but people are starting to understand now. The old saying, if you can believe it and conceive it, it will come true. And you can make it happen. And that's true. You got to be able to say to yourself, I'm going to do this, no matter what, and I know it's going to work out. And maybe it will, but maybe it won't. But you keep thinking that things are going to work out, and eventually they're going to, because you're putting it into your head, and you start getting more ideas on how to do everything. All right? And that's another reason why we do those dailies. So, take life's moments. How about, you stop, slow down, and smell the roses. Or here's another one that I used to say all the time. Somebody had told me this a long time ago. Sometimes you can be so close to the forest that you can't see the trees. Right? In other words, you get so tied up into everything that you don't realize the beauty that's around you. Like maybe you're grateful because you just got the beautiful cloud. It kind of remind you of some peace, right? Or a rose, or the smell of a rose or something. All right? Live in the now most of the time, right? Spend time with your creator, spend time with your own self, with your mind, all right? So that's the spiritual end of it. So now we hit all 5, all right? So we got to write down major things that we need to do. Again, okay, I'll write meditate if you want to do that. All right, 20 minutes at least once a day for the week, And then I'll go back next week and I'll see, did I hit this? Did I have my purpose for the day or the week? Did I make sure I did the date night last week? Right? Did I meditate? And start checking these things off. Right? And if you didn't check them off, that means you didn't do them. Then you got to spend more time figuring out how you're going to put that in your day. Everything has to be a balance, right? And there are times, like I said, you're going to be things ups and downs. You're never going to be 100% balanced. But for the most part, when you start going through the week and at the end of the month, you can say, look, I did most of this. Everything is okay, and it's going to be okay. All right, so those are the 5 things that we strive for. Mental, physical, financial, relationships, spiritual. So next we're going to be talking about what we're going to be doing on a daily process. Okay, talk to you in a minute.